or peer network to hear the conversation, yeah, one day I will write a book. Everyone aspires to do this, but in fact, only 2% of individuals actually do that. And as a business owner, it can be a fundamental way to amplify your message and to establish yourself as a thought leader. And so today we are sitting down with an incredibly successful, not only author, but publisher and speaker around the platform of books to talk about this idea of how do you use book publishing to establish authority as a business owner. So welcome very much to our show, Honorée. She is an amazing individual. Can't wait to learn all about the things you're going to talk about with us today. Welcome.
Hi, delighted to be with you. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the idea of why do we actually need to consider this as an essential part of our storyline as business owners? Let's start at the beginning.
Sure. I don't think it's a surprise that I'm going to say that a book is the one thing that sets you apart from other people who say that they do what you do and they are as good as you are at what it is that you do. Having a book helps you to stand out among your peers. So regardless of the alphabet after your name or your other accomplishments, when you answer the question, do you have a business card with, well, I do have a business card, but I actually also have a book, you will see people elevate you in their minds instantaneously. So it literally takes out of the question whether you are an expert at what it is that you do, whether you are knowledgeable at what it is that you do. And also when you have a book and people read that book, it allows them to understand whether or not they like you, they trust you, and they want to work with you.
And I think that is absolutely true. This idea that, suddenly it's like, wow, you just are much more professional, much more serious, and much more committed to the long term. And I think that that's something we often undervalue in our own authority building plan. Yeah. You need to be seen as someone who's fully committed because you're going to be sought after to deliver a result, and people want to know there's a backstory before the new chapter. So when people, say, I'm going to do this, and we say, yeah, there's absolutely a million reasons why you should. Yeah. How do you start the process? And what do you need to be really getting your head around to be that 2%, to be that one who not only thinks it, but actually goes and makes it happen?
Yep. So get out your pad of paper and your pen, because I'm going to give you your pre-author exercise, the things to consider. The first thing is, what do you want it to do for you? What's in it for you? So tune into the radio station of WIIFM, and what is in it for me, the author? Do you want fame, fortune, or freedom? Do you want more clients to come? Do you want more customers? Do you want elevated authority? Do you want to increase your brand status? Write all of that stuff down. And the last piece of this exercise, this very first question in the exercise, really is to keep in mind that you are not trying to be altruistic. You're not going to change the world. You're not going to feed the children. You're not going to save the turtles, right? This is what is in it for you. And once you've answered that, that is your guiding light. That is your vision, which as coaches, right, that is what pulls us forward. Like, we have to have a clear vision in order to be pulled forward. Then I want you to ask yourself some other questions. What do you want the reader to do after they read your book? And I'm going to use my book, You Must Write a Book, as the example. I want people to write and publish books because they are life-changing. They are brand building. They are income increasers, all of the things, right? So that first question is, what do you want the reader to do because they've read your book? You want them to do something, and you want them to do it successfully, more successfully than if they had not read your book. Then the question right behind that is, what do you want them to not do? And using my book again, I want you to not write a book and publish a book that does not fulfill your vision. I don't want you to write a crappy book. I don't want you to write a book you're embarrassed about in 5 years. I want you to write a quality book that is bringing business to you for a decade. And then finally, there's one more question to ask, and that is, what do you want the right reader to do? Now, not that there is a wrong reader, but the right reader is going to say, oh my gosh, Christine, I read your book. It changed how I do something. It gave me pleasure, right? It helped me to get an outcome that I wanted. And boy, thanks for all those tips that helped me to avoid pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I hire you?
Mm,
Right? So thank
absolutely.
you for the blessings. Thank you for the peeking around the corners and helping me to avoid potholes and problems and pitfalls. And so I actually want to engage you at a higher level. And what is that higher level? So when you get to that last question, what do you want the right reader to do? The right reader is going to do something. They're going to hire you or engage you or buy something else from you. What are those things? So when you can go from what's in it for me, what do I want my readers to do? What do I want my readers to not do, whether I have a conversation with them or not? And then ultimately, the right reader or my ideal client's going to read this book and go, gosh, I want to hang out with you. How do I do that? What are my options? Do you take American Express? Right?
Well, listen, I so love this because this is why you and I had such a great conversation when we talked about collaborating on this conversation,
Yeah.
because it is about the movement. And I think so often the reason why we stall or don't do great things with a book opportunity is because we haven't been clear. What do we want for
Right.
us out of this? Other than maybe it's like, I want to be a bestseller. Okay,
What
maybe
does
I
that
want to
even
tell my
mean?
story. Okay. But I
Yeah.
love that you don't stop there. You say, okay, what do you need it to do? Get crystal clear, because you've got to have motivation to stay the course
Right.
and decide your speed. But from there is, what do you want the experience to be? And I love that you're saying guide people to the final chapter of this, which is, what are you inviting them to do?
Yeah.
So often we just go, ta-da, put it out there and
Right.
hope that someone is going to pick it up and do it. And I think the conversation you and I had was all about, so that was great. And I just put it on the shelf. Is that the goal?
Right.
So
No.
often we fall short of this because that is the reality, and
Yeah.
we've got to flip it.
Yes, and come at it from a longer term frame. And you are so right. I see authors just go, I'm an author. I put my book out there. Everybody go buy it. Everybody review it. And I want purchases. I want people to buy my book. I want them to review my book. But here's what happens in between the buying and the reviewing. Hopefully, it's reading.
Oh, dynamite. Mic drop.
Whoop.
Did anybody else hear that? That was pretty loud.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh snap. Did she really say that? Because everyone says go buy and review my book. But I want you, if you get one of my books, I want you to feel compelled to put it on the top of the TBR, to be read pile.
Mhm.
I want you to bring it to the front of your Kindle, forsaking all the other books for a minute or 3 or 4 days, and read, drink in the knowledge, and feel like you've benefited from it, and then write a review. So there's a missing piece, right? It's, hi, I published a book. Okay, I'm done. I checked the box. I've always wanted to write a book. Everyone said I should write a book. I wrote and published my book. It has no intended outcome. I didn't really think that through. Now everybody go buy it and review it. But what about the reading? What about the engagement? What about all the things that can happen because someone picked up your book and read it? And now it's the beginning of something beautiful. What is that beautiful thing?
And I think books have this potential, unlike other types of communication, whether it's video, whether it's social media, whether it is newsletters. This has the ability, and you said it clearly in what you were talking about. What will the goal of this be for 10 years? Because this is the evolution. It is a statement in time, but it needs to have the invitation. What do I do next? And you're so right. I mean, I am a book lover. I have more books than I could possibly imagine, and it doesn't take me any second at all to have 5 more populate. And the
Yeah.
key thing,
Guilty.
I think also what I hear is really important, especially if you're doing this in a business to business setting and you're driving this to build audience, to establish authority, is this conversation. Well, what is your plan to hold them accountable to the reading, to the implementing, so that you can identify the right customer? Because that right customer, which you said, it's 100% spot on. I want to engage you at a higher level. Your programming, your one-to-one support. You're not like everybody else. I've decided not only are you an expert and you're an authority, you're the person I want to guide me to something that I started the journey with because I read it, your book. And
Yes.
now I know I need to take it to the next level. Guys, that's where value is created. That's where profit is created. That's where the biggest impact is created. And honestly, the most important, it's where the most fun happens.
Right. Yes. I can list off members of my mastermind, clients and friends, that their journey with me started because they got one of my books.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, when you say, what else do you need to consider? Because one of the things you've talked about, and we're leading it really here, is monetizing,
Right.
using the book either both to, not only get money from the sale of the book, which is often what people stop and start thinking around, but there are other things that it can lead to. And let's talk about, what do we need to do well in our thinking, in our planning, to
Yeah.
have an idea that this actually is a profit driver?
I
Because I
think
think that catches our imagination, and most of us don't do this well.
yes. And so, such a fantastic question. And I'm going to come at it from a couple of different directions. One is, you first have to believe you can make money from the sales of your book. The average book only sells 250 copies, which means for every book that sold millions and millions of copies, there are books that have sold 1 or 4.
Mhm.
I've had those books, right? So no judgment. I've had on either side, either side of the equation.
Thank you for your honesty.
Well, because as an expert, I would be remiss if I didn't say I've made every mistake that I caution people against making. I've made the mistake of not being someone a vision and acting from the vision, right? So to be fair, I'm sitting here from a place of healed cuts and scrapes and bruises, right? So just to be clear, because it's very easy for someone to go, oh yeah, of course she sold a bunch of books, but I'm a normal person. Well, I'm a normal person, right? Farm girl from
Thank you for
Ohio.
that.
Yes. So if you can suspend the disbelief that your book is going to be one of the books that does not sell, and believe and lean into the fact that you can make an income, a nice income from your book royalties. So that's one avenue to come from. You can then also think about the contents of your book as the clay which you will mold into other income streams. When I publish a book now, I always publish a book with a companion of some kind. So a journal, a workbook, an action guide, a companion planner, something of that nature to go along with it, because I'm writing transformational nonfiction. I want you to transform because you are reading it. I'm giving you exercises to do. I'm giving you a place to do the exercises. So I don't want you to just passively read. I want you to actively read, and I give you a place to write things down or to do the exercises. And then I also turn it into some kind of a course, because some people want to learn in this type of modality with video, with audio, with downloadables, with other things that they can read. And so those are just 2 of the other income streams that can come along with your book. You can also do coaching and consulting and speaking in all different ways. So keynote speaking and training and workshops and all, so many different income streams can come from your book. So when you think about the contents of your book, you want to think about, how can I repurpose this? Once you've got that main content, and if you want, we can talk a little bit about how you decide what the main content is. But once you have that main content, you can think about, oh, I want to take that piece of information about what do you do before you become an author. I want to just take those 4 questions and I want to turn it into a learning opportunity for my students. Or I want to take 1 chapter on how do you market with your book and get more clients, whatever your clients are. And I'm going to turn that into a keynote presentation. So you want to think about the contents of your book, and are you going to repurpose them in their entirety, or are you going to repurpose them in little pieces, 1 chapter at a time or 1 section at a time?
What I love is, it's everyone in our audience, I'm sure, is going to just have the moment to reflect, going, there's much more involved in this than I thought.
Yes.
And wow, could it be a massive way to amplify? It does take the strategic thinking. That is why people like you are exceptional at what you do. And I want to ask you, this is something we ask every guest that comes on the platform, because one of the things I'm so passionate about is amplifying people who do walk their walk, who have success behind them, who honestly say, I didn't all get there because it was perfect. I learned a lot along the way. But also to take the veil down and saying, you're a business owner. In this case, you're helping and mentoring people to publish and write successful commercial and other multiple income stream providing resources.
Yeah.
What is working? We call it amplify your own business right now. What is working in the marketing space for you to get your business seeing more success in this coming year?
So I do three main things. One of them is what I'm doing right now, which is a great pleasure. I get to have great conversations with really smart people that are recorded, video and audio for people to listen to on their own time. So podcast interviews, summits, radio shows, television shows, all of those things are very helpful in brand building and bringing people to me. And I think it's one of the most effective ways for authors to get the word out about their book. Right. The second thing is I create content. So I have a daily newsletter. It takes less than 3 minutes for people to read it. And there's all types of philosophy around daily, monthly, yearly newsletters. Right. And I've just found that I have so much content that if I give people a little bite every day, they can eat the whole whale in a year. Right. But if I tried to divide the whale up into 12 servings, my newsletters would be long and would still leave open-ended loops. So I've cut my content into bite-sized pieces that I send 5 days a week with a recap email on the weekends, just for someone who misses an email during the week because we're all busy. And then the last thing is actual, wait for it, in-person contact.
I'm sorry, are you a unicorn? What's happening here?
I'm a unicorn. I leave my house. And I'm an introvert. I would actually much prefer to never leave my house, not even for groceries, ever again, right? You can come, but I don't want to leave.
I feel seen.
Yes, I have all the creature comforts. There's no reason for me to leave. But I have found that when I can break bread with someone, when I can share a cup of a warm beverage, I can grip and grin, and I can just get in someone's energy field and talk to them about what is their big idea? What do they want to get out into the world? And I can really just bring my enthusiasm and excitement for what it is that I do, right? And for me, it's books. For you, it could be anything. Whoever's watching, right? Whatever that is. I find that getting in the same physical space as other people is very helpful. Now, obviously, that's not possible outside of my geographical area. But if I can, I just go and meet people, and then I talk to them about what it is that I do. And that leads to the next conversation, et cetera, and so forth. So those are the three things that are really working for me right now.
I love them because they're very in line with exactly what we cover under the Business Scale Accelerator. Build your audience, get the message right, go meet some more people, and as appropriate, make offers. So I want to give you this opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you as our guest. I'm sure you've captured the imagination of some of our audience who is saying, I need to take another look at how I'm doing this, or when I'm ready, what to do. How do people come find you?
My website, honoreecorder.com, is where they can start. And I mentioned my book, You Must Write a Book, earlier. Thank you for letting me do that. You can actually get a free ebook copy of that on the front page of my website. That'll also put you on that email list. Get on it, stay on it, unsubscribe. It's all good. Please take the book as a gift from me. It will help to get you started on your book writing journey, help you to avoid pain and gain pleasure, and hopefully write and publish that book, which will change your life and the lives of your readers.
I love it. And not just write one book. Right, many. You're on a journey and evolving, and so is your audience. Make sure you recognize that. So it has been an absolute pleasure, guys. This is it. This is about amplifying your market messaging, and it's important to know that books can help you establish authority. You've got an expert here in the room. Honorée, thanks for being our guest, guys. We will see you all on our next episode.